Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Barriers and Boundaries Resilience Leadership. I am your host, EB. And again, we're talking about healthy employees creating healthy organizations. And we know that your workforce is the backbone of your success as an organization. And what I want to talk about is something that directly impacts productivity, innovation, long term growth and resilience of your organization. And it's kind of overlooked sometimes. And I feel like there's always tension in this conversation, which I'm okay with tension in the conversation. So let's just do it. But I want to talk about the personal lives of the employees, particularly the marriage, the family relationships. How important are those and how much influence do they have on work performance? And I feel like there's a lot of impact and influence on someone's ability to be present at work. Today's fast-paced, ever-changing work environment, there's this line between the personal and professional, especially after, a global pandemic, more people working from home, remote work. So, maybe they're spending more time with their significant other. And what's the influence and impact of that? What has that been? Obviously, lots of studies are starting to come out of that, which is one of the reasons why I want to talk about it, but I think there's a positive and fulfilling home life, that provides emotional stability, which in turn, when you get them at work, the increased concentration, the reduced stress, the less burnout, the improved overall performance of what they're contributing as value added activities, and that for you as a leader is just is one. It's just so important for you to recognize. Research is constantly showing us that employees who have a healthy balance between the personal and professional lives, they're just more productive, they're more engaged. And, you know, I one of the things that I wanna start seeing more is the studies and the retention efforts, the recruiting, because if employees are healthy and they are allowed to be healthy at work and they're just overall feeling well, then that is going to lead to higher retention, which is going to lead to higher recruiting because their friends, the people in their network, they're going to be looking at them like, man, like they must really enjoy their job. But it's really kind of that balance between both of having a healthy home life and healthy personal life. So I think that's the foundation. I think people are the foundation to the resilience of your organization. And I will always share that message. Anything that's going to lead to reduced absenteeism, fewer medical claims that you have to deal with, and just that less turnover, retention piece, those are going to be the things that are always going to stick out to me. And one of the things I want to do, so that's the piece, that's kind of the why for you as a leader, just to promote or at least acknowledge that you want your employees to have a healthy home life. So maybe you have programs, maybe you have resources, maybe you have benefits for them to get help if they need help. Those are things that you might want to consider if you don't. And understand there might be limitations in that, and what level can you afford, and a lot of it just comes down to how you measure the risk of that. Like, can you accept a certain level of risk with your employees home life, and their health and their personal lives. So kind of switching gears a little bit, what I actually want to do for the next half of this, for the last half of this, is actually just give some tips, some insights into things that when couples have come to me for counseling, some things that I have offered, three big things that I've offered that I felt like have really resonated, and this can be shared with them. You can, or, maybe this is something that might be new for you. And there's certain things that this could apply on a bigger scale, but just thinking about this in the context of a significant relationship, marriage, partnership, whatever it may be. The first one, and I'll give you three. The first one is the conversation before the conversation. And what does that mean? Well, what that means is self awareness, just the ability to recognize. So let's say you have some big news that you need to share with your partner, and you find this news out at work, you get to lunch, you call them, and you're like, hey, you'll never guess what happened. Well, first, I would say it's important to recognize how you are emotionally and mentally in response to this information. Are you happy, or is this anxiety feeling? Is it filling you with rage and anger? Just that ability to first recognize, what is your response mentally and emotionally to information? And then being able to set the stage for your partner to share if they're in a place to receive the news. Okay. So let me give this. So let's say I call my wife and, say, hey, what's your weather report? If she says clear skies and sunny, I'm going to be able to share the news. If she says dark, stormy, clouds, it's thunderstorms here, then that's just going to tip me off that, hey, now's not the time. That I don't have the ability to engage the way that is probably the healthiest way or timing to engage. So that's the first thing, is really just being able to have a conversation before you have the actual conversation. And you can create your own dynamics to this, calm seas, raging seas. Are you hearing, heavy death metal rock, or are you in a, coffee shop jazz, relaxed, so just whatever works for you. You can have fun with this, come up with your own, kind of dialogue, something that's just going to tip your partner off to, you're ready to hear news, you're in a good place mentally and emotionally to receive news, and just creating that practice of good self awareness first. So that's the first thing, conversation before the conversation. The second thing, and this is something that I hear a lot in couples that are, on that path towards divorce. And you've probably heard this as well. This is probably the most common thing. We grew apart. And I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that that's something that happens. I don't doubt that that's something that may be relevant, or true. But I think there's a way to flip that in a way that's protective, that's a healthy boundary for our marriages, right? So this is barriers and boundaries. So that barrier might be you feeling like you've grown apart, but the boundary is grow separately together. Make that part of your plan, your strategy for your marriage is to grow separately together. And what does that mean? Well, you're going to go to work every day. You're going to have experiences every day that are going to shape you. You're going to have talks with your mentors. You're going to have talks with your bosses. Your coworkers are going to experience things they're going to share with you. You have all this information. I hear the word infobesity a lot lately. There's just so much information. And you're having all these different thoughts, all this cognitive variability, excessive force of cognitive variability, which is a fancy way of saying overthinking. But you're receiving all this information, and it's doing something to you. There's transactions that are happening, and it might be transforming you into thinking about things in a different way. And that's one of the things that I want you to just acknowledge that happens. So one partner might, one spouse might go to work and have all these interactions. Another one might be in school, going to college, learning new things, and being challenged that way. So you're going to grow as individuals, because you're not going to be joined at the hip 24/7. But the goal is to bring those back to the relationship and learn and grow together, as you have grown separately. So, being able to, instead of say, hey, how was your day? Oh, it was fine. It was great. Okay. And then you move on and start binge watching until, 2 in the morning. Then you get up and do it all over again. Ask good questions. Ask questions like, what was something that was new for you today? What was something that challenged you today? Just something that, what was something different that it gave you new insight, about who you are, about who we are? Yeah, the endless possibilities of questions there, right? But the goal is to really just bring back what you experienced today, and how is that going to help benefit your relationship and keep you together as you grow separately. So that's the second thing. So conversation before the conversation, grow separately together. And the last thing, the third thing, it's a big thing, but I feel like it's often overlooked, and that is shared aspirations. What are your goals? What's the vision? What's the meaning or purpose? If that's too deep, just what are the aspirations that you feel like you've had? For some couples, it's they want to be foster parents. For some couples, it's they want to be the world travelers. They want to travel the world, see everything. For other couples, it might be, hey, we want to mentor couples by the time we've been married 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. We want to have mentored a certain amount of couples by these milestones. And but the point is that having something that you're working towards together that represents who you are, it highlights your strengths. It creates even more opportunities. So just having some sort of shared aspiration to do together, because when you don't have it, and this is the problem that I see when couples don't have that, is they start to turn on each other. The little things become big things, and the little frustrations become massive frustrations. And you just really not, some people need certainty, some people need fairness, so there's certain things about how information is kind of shared in the relationship that really highlights whether you've had something to focus on together or not. So those are the three things: the um conversation before the conversation, the grow separately together, and then having a shared aspiration. Those are just three little, nuggets. I'll let you chew on those, let you, think about those, and just, um, but that really comes back to, having that good, healthy relationship with your partner. And leaders, if you're listening and or watching, just really wanting to create an environment where your employees have a good, healthy environment while they're at work, but also encouraging them just to find ways to grow in their own personal lives as well, because you're going to get a huge return on investment in that. So, your employees are not just a product of their workplace initiatives. They are nurtured by, they are nurtured by the environment that you provide, but they're also nurtured by the environment that they have at home, hopefully. So, if you want to build organizations that are, strong, adaptable, and resilient, then, you have a job to do of setting that stage and setting that environment at work. But, you also want to really kind of encourage that same sort of, kind of mindset and orientation for their home lives as well. So, that's the whole person. I think it's more than just a personal matter. I think, that healthy home life is going to be a cornerstone of the healthy work life. So, uh, hopefully that helps. Hopefully it just gives you something to think about, chew on, consider, and, we'll keep at it here at Barriers and Boundaries. But until next time, EB out here.